Hey, how's it going everyone? This is Lam here, and in today's video I'm going to try something a little different. Usually when I edit a vlog together, I go ahead and I process all of the pictures myself, and then I choose a few of them to actually include into my vlog. So this time around what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and record how I actually process my pictures, and I hope you give me some feedback on it. Maybe it's helpful, maybe you just enjoy somebody else's creative process. Please let me know. So let's go ahead and dive right into what I do in Lightroom and the few pictures that I chose that I'm going to use in my vlogs. So as you can see, these are the pictures that I imported in. I usually take around, I don't know, 50 pictures, and then I'll just select the ones that I think that are best. I don't try to go through all of them. And then of the pictures that are here, I usually just select 5 to 8 pictures that I actually want to go through and process. Let's go ahead and pick this one. This one right here is in front of the Evan Williams building. I was thinking about using this one for my screenshot for my YouTube video, but I might actually use this for my background instead, and then I'll use something else. I got another picture that I have in store. So we're going to go ahead and go into the development tab, and a lot of people will say go ahead and just jump right into the editing. Somebody, another photographer, gave me advice on using the power of Lightroom to kind of kickstart you off, and it's going to save you a lot of trouble. So right over here there's an auto button, and this is a good way to get a very nice exposure. It's kind of the very beginning of where you want to start. It's going to give you a very it's going to give you a really well exposed picture, but it's going to be really bland. So obviously these pictures that I'm going to be using are things for Instagram. So what we're going to do is we're really going to sharpen them up and punch them up, because if you don't do that, you just don't get the traction that you want on Instagram. So that's what we're going to do. Most of these pictures are going to be going to social media sites, so we're going to be really punching them up. So these aren't exactly edited to go on a wall, because they're usually much more subtle when they go on a wall, because you want it to fit into the living environment, right? Having a really punchy picture doesn't really work. That's more like a poster. So I'm going to hit this button right here. As you can see right away, it brought down a lot of the highlights. It really exposed everything really well. But overall, it's still an extremely flat image. It's not going to be anything that's going to garner any attention on the internet. So let's go ahead and play around with the contrast first. I already like the exposure, bringing it down a little bit. So as we play with the contrast, you can see that, and what I'm looking at right here is this post right here. I want it to be nice and dark, and I want it to have a lot of texture. So I'm going to probably go really high up on the contrast to try to really darken and give me that nice picture, that nice dark post right there. Probably right around there. The highlights, I don't think it's going to do anything for me. Shadows, I'm going to leave that alone for now, but I might play with that a little bit later. I do want to brighten up the image, so I am going to go ahead and bump the image up. And what I'm looking at is the pavement over here to try to make sure that I get a nice exposure over here and brighten up this area over here. So right about there, I'll be pretty happy. And then I do like the black, so instead of doing the shadows, I am going to do a little bit black. I just want this thing to shine quite a bit, to give it a nice little shiny gloss. And maybe right about there. That might be a little too much, actually, because I am going to use other things. Let's go right there. Clarity. This kind of makes it look, well, it does give it a lot of sharpness, but it gives it a different type of feel. If you go the other way, it gives you a nice, smoothing effect, but not really anything that we're looking for exactly. So let's go ahead, let's add a little sharpness, but we're not going to add too much. Now we are going to play around with a lot with the Vibrance, because look at this pavement down here and then this red wall over here. We definitely want to get some additional brightness out of it. So I'm looking at the pavement and I'm trying to get just a little bit more. Ooh. And then if you look over here, you're really getting some nice color out of those posters. So but more importantly, I actually care about the pavement. So it's a little too much. Let's go right there. Alright, let's go look at vibrance or saturation. Probably gonna go a little bit high on this one. Like I said, want it to be a very punchy picture, so yeah, okay. Yeah, right about there. So right there, as you can see from a very flat picture, we're really starting to liven up that picture. And that's kind of what we need for Instagram. Make sure everything is still not completely out of whack after all of that, but it looks to be pretty good. Alright. See if we need anything for the tone curves. Nope, don't need anything there. Do I want to darken? I might brighten up the image just a little bit. Bring down. Looking at that post again, and that's my reference point for the entire image so far. So I'm definitely trying to see how dark I want my post to be right there. Oh yeah. No, I don't want to lose too much detail, but I do want a nice little sheen to it right there. All right. Last thing what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to the hue, and there's this little button right here. I'm going to select it. Then I'm kind of just going to drag it around. And as you can see, more than one bar moves. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make the pavement kind of stand out a little bit more. And it's going to also affect the red column over here on the right. But I want it to be a little bit redder. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, I am happy with that. All right, last thing we're going to do, and we don't want to spend too much time because you can spend an inordinate amount of time processing these pictures, and we're not trying to win any art shows here. We're trying to just make a good image. So I'm going to go ahead, work on the sharpness using that little box. There we go. And what we're trying to do is you're just trying to sharpen up all the lines that we care about. And there we go. That is a good looking image right there. I still might end up using it as my wallpaper image. I don't know. Not sure yet. But there you go. So that's kind of in general how I liven up the picture. I'm not going to add any vignetting to this one because I kind of want everything to be exposed and look well. Just kind of glance around, make sure everything's okay. Didn't go too far in any direction to make it look awful. But picture one done. So let's go ahead, head back to another picture. So let's go ahead and go to the top. All right, so this is the other picture that I was thinking about using for my I don't know, wallpaper shot, or the shot for my YouTube channel, the art. I can't remember the wording now. So I do like the picture because, you know, it's kind of unique. The cup will kind of grab you. The only problem is it was a really bright day, so there's a lot of light coming in, and then that kind of changes the exposure completely. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fix that with the gradient. So I'm going to drag this out to, I want the midpoint to be where the light is going to be even. So I'm going to drag this back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and come down. And there we go. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty even. So if I hover over this right now, it shows you how much I'm changing of the exposure. So I don't generally like to use this tool, but like when I need to even out light to kind of expose the picture well, this is one of the easiest ways to do it. And I'm kind of changing the exposure based on the light coming in at an angle towards the cup. so that it makes it a little bit more natural. So the cup is, you know, less or better exposed, but the floor is still kind of more exposed, so it looks a little bit more natural. It's not just, you know, a straight even exposure coming in from the right or the left, which kind of, I don't know, makes the picture look a little fake. So we're gonna go ahead and just use that as our base for our image. So now everything at least looks well exposed, as opposed to at the very beginning. So this looks good. I get a little bit more detail back, and now we can play around with the auto button. Now the auto button on this one, I don't like as much, because I changed the exposure of it, so it really darkens the image. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this image back up to 0 again, because I'm gonna do other things to darken the image. Let's go ahead and play with the contrast. Contrast is okay. Let's play with clarity. Does clarity help me more than contrast? Nope, contrast helps me more. So I'm gonna go ahead. And one of the things that I generally do is contrast is easy to really ramp up as long as there's no people in the scene. Once there's people in the scene, you really have to be careful with the contrast. But if there is no people, you can really ramp up the contrast, and the picture just looks punchier, and you know, everything looks sharper, and it's fine because it's objects. You expect it to be sharp. So I'm gonna go ahead, go right about here, highlights. Let's see, all the way up. Yeah, I just might just go all the way down and just expose all of that. No, I'm gonna leave it there. It looks a little bit more natural, even though I kind of like it all the way down. Let's see. I think I am gonna bring it back more, just darken the image a little bit. I don't know if I like that image that dark though. I'm looking at this area right underneath the cup right here to see if I like it darker or not. I'll leave it alone. Nope, leaving that alone. I do want to use this though. I do want to darken the blacks up a little bit. It gets rid of the haze in the picture a little bit. All right, clarity. I actually don't like clarity. Might use it the other way though. It kind of softens the image up a little bit, and it actually makes it a little bit more pleasing. But I still got some of the contrast in there to really punch up the picture. So I'm gonna go the other direction on this one. I'm gonna just add a little bit less clarity, and to kind of just soften the image up a little bit. It just makes the image overall a little bit more pleasing to look at. Vibrance. Do I need vibrance? Yes, I do. Again, I'm looking at this post. This post is my reference point for my vibrance, and like it right there. And then I'll look over here for my, just to double check that I didn't do anything too awful to everything, because sometimes I do. Looking at the image, making sure I don't do anything too awful to it. It looks good though. Doesn't seem to be a problem. Ooh, yeah. You can go overboard on that real quick. Actually, it doesn't make a black and white picture either, because there's such a dark center right here, and then everything else is light. But that's a different day. What that darkness is doing is it's kind of adding, it's removing the haze from the picture, and that is good. So I'm going to go ahead and go like that. A little bit more dramatic. There's a lot of detail in that cup. All right, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go to the saturation, and I'm going to play with this. See if I can get this, just this specific color, a little bit, either more or less. I haven't figured it out yet. And trying to do this quickly. Let's just go right there. small subtle changes. All right. I'm gonna go in on the Evan Williams logo, and then try to sharpen up the image a little bit. There we go. And then what I'm going to do at the very end, for this one, because the cup is kind of the centerpiece of the attention, I am going to add a lot of vignetting to it to kind of draw your attention to the cup. So before, you know, everything's evenly lit. Now we're going to go ahead, darken the edges, and kind of make you look at the cup naturally. So that image kind of works for me. I might use that image as the clip art for the YouTubes. All right, let's move on. Actually, at Evan Williams, there's upstairs. There's a really cool place where they kind of just mocked up the old, you know, what these saloons look like in the old days, and it's actually a very cool corridor. There's a few things that kind of remind you of modern times, which, you know, like the fire hydrant area here, but overall, it's actually a really cool area to take pictures if you can get everybody out of your way, which is a little bit difficult because it is a tour. But let's go ahead. Let's pick one of these and wrap up for the day. Let's go ahead and pick up this one. Let's see what we can do with this one. Really brightened up the picture, but like this isn't really meant to be a bright picture. So we're gonna go ahead and bring it back down. Not too far down. We do want it a little bit brighter, but not too much. Not that bright. You know what? Maybe it's about there. Let's see. We might want to go overboard with clarity and make it into an interesting picture. What happens if I do this? Ooh, okay. Let's see if we do this. I'm gonna really drop down contrast and then bump up clarity to kind of compensate. Yeah, I kind of like that kind of image. So I went ahead and I decontrasted quite a bit, but then I moved up clarity in the opposite direction to kind of balance it out, and it gives you a very definite different type of picture in the end. It kind of sharpens everything, but it doesn't change the exposure, which is kind of nice. So we're gonna go ahead and keep with that as the way we're gonna do things. No, I do want the detail in these posters here and up here, so we're gonna keep that. No. Nope. I do want it a little bit blacker just so that I can get rid of some of the haze that's actually in the picture right now. And there we go, a little bit out of the way. Do we need Vibrance? Yeah, we're gonna go with it. Mostly because we do want to punch up this picture. Again, what we're doing is we're really making these pictures more for Instagram rather than a. Ooh, that's really. I kind of like it. Yeah, I'm going with that. Again, for Instagram. So you want a picture that kind of pops out and really kind of grabs you. So you're going to be moving a lot of these present sliders all the way to the right. No. I do want a little bit more light, but I don't want to lose the detail here. So that's what I'm kind of using as my gauge. Then add a little light, take a little light away. Not going to take too much light away. No, that's too dark. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play with this gradient thing again. And I'm just going to make it slightly tilted so that it looks, oops, that's a different one. So that it looks a little bit more natural. And then what I want to do is actually want to make it look like there's no light on this side. Kind of make it the same exposure as this over here, so that it looks like there's no artificial light in the back over here. And just darken it up. So if you look through now, it doesn't look like one side of the picture is super bright. So now it looks like a nice corridor. There we go. This looks pretty good. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're definitely playing a little bit with this. There we go. Going to 12. And we are just not so subtly trying to improve the color of the pavement. Yeah. There we go. So much more even lighting in the back. Still nice presence. Wish the exit sign was gone. Wish the fire hydrant was gone. I can probably do it in Photoshop, but you know, actually I might try. Might try later to do it in Photoshop. So there we go. That's a quick look at me editing a few pictures for my vlog, and also just for pictures of general use for Instagram. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 pictures done. Let me know if this is interesting. Give me some feedback. Do you want, me to talk a little bit more about why I do certain things or how I go through using certain tools? Let me know. And yeah, appreciate the time, and have a good one.